Hello and welcome. My name is Ashlyn Gray, and I'm the Director of Graduate Financial Services here at the Grad College. And I'm thrilled to welcome you to our 11th annual Rebel Grad Slam 3-minute thesis competition. The 3-minute thesis, or 3MT competition model, was developed at the University of Queensland in Australia in 2008. It spread to other universities in Australia and New Zealand in 2009 and 2010, and by 2011, the 3MT competition phenomena had spread around the globe, and now more than 600 universities from more than 65 countries actually hold these competitions. In 2014, UNLV held our first 3MT, the Rebel Grad Slam, and this year is our 11th annual Research Rumble. The 3MT is a fantastic opportunity for students to learn how to convey who they are, what they study, why they study it, how they study it, what they found or expect to find, and why it matters to an audience of folks who are mostly outside of their field. It is an opportunity to build public speaking and communication skills and to polish one's elevator speech describing what they study as graduate students. It's worth noting that our slammers come from all over campus and from a wide range of disciplines. Some are first-year students, some are in their final year, some slammers are master's students, and others are advanced doctoral candidates. It is a diverse pool of over 90 graduate students competing here this week. So today we have a group of UNLV graduate students who have been randomly assigned to compete in this preliminary session. Each will present their research in 3 minutes or less using only one slide and no props. We will introduce each student and then start the timer. If a student goes over 3 minutes, they will be eliminated from the competition. Slammers are encouraged to pace themselves and use their 3 minutes without going over. It's not easy, but it's what the 3MT is all about. Slammers, please make sure to keep your microphones on mute and your video off while others are competing. Only turn on your microphone and video when it is your turn to present. Please be sure to stay for the entire session, even after you are done presenting. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat in between presenters. Please do not use the chat while anyone else is presenting, as it may be distracting. You may sit or stand while presenting. You only have 2 minutes and 59 seconds and one chance to compete. After I introduce you, our Zoom host will advance to your presentation slide, and you may then begin your presentation. Once you begin speaking, we will then start the timer. You will not be able to restart your presentation unless something beyond your control occurs. You will be able to see the Zoom timer at the top of your screen once you start talking. Please don't stop unless I stop you. Don't worry though, even if you lose Wi-Fi or are disconnected, please just join back in. We will wait a minute for you and then go on to the next presenter. If this does happen, you can redo your presentation at the end of the session. And please remember that you may not read from your presentation or use any notes on your screen or in front of you. Now, let's turn our attention to the scoring for this research rumble. The judges will be assessing the competitors based on metrics which total 24 possible points in 4 major areas: comprehension, content, engagement, and communication. Each judge will independently score each competitor, and judges will not penalize competitors for unanticipated disruptions that are beyond the slammer's control. At the end of the presentations, we will tally up the judges' combined scores for each grad slammer and announce the winners right here live at the end of the session. The top 3 in this session will advance to the semifinals. I'd like to note that this round of competition is happening live in Zoom and will be simultaneously aired live on the Graduate College's YouTube channel. And to give you a sense of this year's competition, over 90 students are competing in this preliminary round. Around 36 will move on to the semifinals, and only about 9 will advance to the finals at 4 p.m. on Friday, November 8th. So without further ado, let me introduce your judges, and then we'll get on with our 3MT Research Rumble. We have a set of very distinguished judges in today's session. Judges, please feel welcome to turn on your camera and briefly wave hello as I introduce each of you. First, we have Elizabeth Lawrence from Liberal Arts, Raphael Oganesian from Academic Affairs, Samantha Godbey from Libraries, Samantha John from the School of Integrated Health Sciences, Drew Peltier from Sciences, and Nikki DeVille from Public Health. Welcome and thank you for serving on our panel of judges today. So I think we're ready to begin the competition. Our first presenter today is Donya Shahamati. Thank you.
Hello.
We hear you, Donya. You may begin.
Okay. Everyone responds to different foods differently, or so we have been told. This message can be seen everywhere these days, and even several companies have developed ways to benefit financially from this mantra by providing personalized recommendations or diets for how a person should eat. But are these approaches effective, and are they even really necessary? Before we decide if a person needs a special personalized diet, it's essential to better understand why people respond differently to foods. And importantly, do they respond in the same way every time they eat the same meal? Our randomized crossover trial is trying to provide answer for these questions. In personalized nutrition, experts are exploring various avenues. Some are advocating diets based on gut microbiome composition, and some other are focusing on genetic variations. Interestingly, studies have shown that humans are more similar than different. In fact, any two humans are 99.9% identical in their DNA, and the differences, genetic differences between humans, are similarly minute. On the other hand, there is a growing recognition of the effects of lifestyle behaviors like diet, physical activity, sleep, and stress on how our body responds to a same meal. Imagine we could shift nutrition science toward a model similar to that in psychology, where at once experts debated whether humans' behavior are solely biological or environmental. Now we know it's a blend of both, along with a host of other factors. In my thesis, we are looking at how our lifestyle behaviors, like what we eat, how physically active we are, what is our stress level and sleep pattern, affect our body responding to foods with different compositions, high fat and high carbohydrate. And we want to see how much these factors lead to differences in blood sugar and fat levels within and between individuals. Maybe our money would be better spent purchasing higher quality and more nutritious food rather than paying to check our genetic profile or gut microbiome composition. Our study will help us to develop a model by which we can predict individual responses to foods based on their unique characteristics. And we aim to revision personalized nutrition and make healthier eating more achievable for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now give our judges a minute to score. Next up, we have Craig Hall.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about my research, which is very near and dear to my heart. Research tells us that teacher preparation programs say that it is important for students to create positive relationships with their students. However, these programs do not consistently say how to create these relationships. So my hypothesis or my what if question is, what if these programs actually consistently explained how to create these positive relationships with students and have empathy at the center of these relationships? My research will examine the interactions between student teachers and their field experience students, even when there is a cultural mismatch present. Now, why am I choosing empathy? It is because of the work of Carl Rogers. He is deemed as one of the most influential people when it comes to empathy in the fields of psychology as well as education. And he says that the component of perspective taking is probably the most important component of empathy. So that will be the focus of my study. As far as my participants, they will be undergraduates as well as alternative route to licensure students. They will be in their last semester of their programs, and they will have full control over their own classrooms. And they're going to have a host of supports. So they will get feedback for their interactions in their classrooms. The outcomes that I believe I will see will be improved academics, greater participation in their classrooms, as well as better attendance, which does include tardiness, and all because of empathy used by the student teacher. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Craig. We'll now give the judges a minute to score. Next up, we have Linnea Bacon.
Hi everyone, my name is Linnea Bacon and I am a doctoral student in the clinical psychology program here at UNLV. Today I'll be talking about a project that I'm working on as a graduate research assistant in the Brain Injury Translational Research Lab under the mentorship of Dr. Henna Lee in the School of Nursing. Our research focuses on using brain exercises and walking exercises to help folks with mild traumatic brain injury, also known as concussion, recover well. I first became interested in this topic because of my own personal experience with concussion. When I was 16, I sustained a concussion playing soccer that ended up derailing my life at the time. I was out of school for over a month and ended up having to quit my sport because of the long-term effects of my injury. At the time, we just didn't know much about concussion or how to recover from it. I was basically told to stay in a dark room and stay off of my phone, which, as you can imagine, is very difficult for a teenager, let alone anyone else. And I'm not alone in this experience. Around 29% of people will experience a concussion in their lifetime, and up to 40% of concussions result in long-term problems. Given that there isn't a lot of knowledge about how to improve concussion recovery, our lab is trying to figure out what works to improve long-term problems post-concussion. These problems can include anything from difficulties with balance while walking to declines in brain functioning and mental health. Some research has shown that combining a walking exercise alongside a brain exercise, such as a memory matching game that you see pictured in this slide, can help to improve both walking and brain functioning. So our lab has developed an app-based program that has volunteers with a history of concussion complete a brain exercise at the same time of a walking exercise for 15 minutes a day for 2 weeks. Brain exercises usually involve memory tasks, kind of like this memory matching game you see here, and walking exercises can include anything from like walking in a figure 8 to walking in a straight line like you're on a tightrope. And the app will actually track your walking patterns. So then we compare the participants' results before and after completing the program to see if there were any improvements in their walking, brain functioning, and their mental health. So far, we've seen that our volunteers have shown improvements in their brain's processing speed, as well as improvements in sleep and their walking patterns. And if successful, this program would provide a free and widely accessible solution for those dealing with the long-term impacts of concussion. And lastly, and a bit of a shameless plug, if you or someone you know has had a concussion, feel free to scan the QR code on this screen because we're still recruiting participants. So we'd love for anyone to get involved if concussion has impacted you in any way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linnea. We'll now have the judges score. Next up, we have Susan Dakwa.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Susan. Thank you for the opportunity. So imagine being a pregnant woman or being a mother who is expecting to have a child or has toddlers, and you cannot even afford to provide food on the table. Now, that kind of fear goes beyond just being hungry or being on an empty stomach. That fear is literally the living circumstance or lived experiences of women living in West Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, in talking about food insecurity, it's not just about empty stomachs. Food insecurity goes beyond this. It impacts mental health, specifically silently fueling anxiety and depression among mothers and pregnant women in the West Las Vegas Promise neighborhood. My research focuses on how varying levels of food insecurity, mild, moderate, and severe, impacting mental health, specifically anxiety and depression among mothers and caregivers in the West Las Vegas Promise neighborhoods. Now, we not only want to look at providing food for mothers, but we want to give them the peace of mind that they do not have to be anxious to think about where their next food will be coming from. What is my research hoping to do? My research is hoping to find that, yes, though there's an existing link in finding food insecurity causing heightened increases in maternal mental health, My research hopes to also inform policy, creating healthier families and communities of the future. And we want to help a mother and at large a household have a smile on their face, that they do not need to think of where their food will come from. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now give our judges a minute to score. Next up, we have Gang Shia.
Hello, can you guys hear me and will me okay?
Yep.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about driving and traffic signals. Imagine you're driving through the city through a rush hour. You might stop at every traffic light. Frustrating, right? What if I told you there's a way to keep cars moving without stopping at most of the traffic lights? My research introduced the symmetric signal timing method, which is a new strategy to reduce the stops and smoothen the driving through the great roadway network, like what we have in Las Vegas. This map shows a 7x7 mile great roadway network, which is my research area. You might still wondering why, while I'm driving, I still stop frequently. Let me tell you why. The traditional traffic signal timing method works well on a single corridor, but still struggle in a complex city grids. The major corridors have higher priorities, so they got more time. They got more green time for the major directions. We can easily arrange a few major corridors, but the rest of the corridors will struggle to fit them into a perfect location. So that is why you still need to stop multiple times at most of the roads. On the major roads, you still need to stop because most of the drivers still choose the main corridor. With more traffic driving on that corridor, it still it still results in congestion. That's why you have to stop almost everywhere. My solution to this problem is use the symmetric signal timing method, which treat all the corridors the same way. Each direction got the same amount of green time. Once we make one corridor good, we can kind of copy and paste to the rest of the corridors. Traffic flows can be evenly distributed to all the corridors. So after implement this method about 1 year ago, in this grid, we can drive any directions on any one of those corridors without stopping. We achieved 15 to 25% of travel time decrease and 5 to 10 miles per hour average speed increase. This method has a real world benefits as well. By reducing the stops, it reduces fuel consumption and emission, contribute to a cleaner environment. It also enhances roadway safety by minimizing the sudden stops and lane changes. My research brings us closer to a future where non-stop driving through a city grid isn't just a dream. It's a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now give the judges a chance to score. Gang, can you please turn off your video and make sure you're muted? Thank you. Next up, we have Ariana Alamagras.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now, I don't mean to age any of us, but who here remembers when earbuds still had wires? And who remembers them constantly being tangled every 2 seconds? They just always seem to tangle, disrupting the music quality and frustrating us to the point of just buying new ones. But what if I told you our brain cells, neurons, work in the same way? Except we can't just toss out our cells and buy a new set every time quality declines. This is a problem for millions worldwide. Neurodevelopmental disorders such as autism, epilepsies, and intellectual disabilities all have some sort of connectivity issue. It's like no matter how much we hassle with the wires, we just can't seem to find that sweet spot. New research has shown that these disorders may have genetic links to them. One gene I'm interested in can be found on the X chromosome and encodes for a protein named colibistin. This protein is extremely important as it regulates the inhibitory signals within our nervous system. Basically, without this protein, our brain becomes overwhelmed with signals and there's too much activity going on, like static. In my lab, we have a unique genetically modified mouse strain that mimics those with these disorders caused by the absence of this protein. And under the microscope, we see that the cell's output component of these mutated mice have a tangling to them. And this disrupts the cell-to-cell signaling, ultimately disrupting signals all throughout the brain. I'm currently in the process of creating 3D models of both neurotypical and mutated cells. So it's as if I have them in my hands and I'm able to closely examine how their structures are differing. In the near future, I'll also be conducting cell culture experiments. This will allow me to track in real time how these cells are maturing. This will also allow me to pinpoint an exact time where these neurons begin to tangle and deform and the signals are being disrupted. All of this research that I'm doing will help lead us towards novel therapeutics that target the underlying causes of these disorders, unlike current treatments that only focus on symptom reduction rather than the disorder itself. And so with this research, I'm hoping to eventually untangle many of the questions that still surround the development of these disorders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ariana. We'll now give the judges a minute to score. Presenting next, we have Dante Miller. Dante, you're actually muted.
Okay, let's try this again. I'm Dante Miller, a fifth-year PhD student in the Department of Sociology, and I'm here to tell you that the Congressional Black Caucus has never passed a significant piece of legislation. Now, that's weird because isn't that their entire job? Black candidates are supposed to support Black issues and Black people. Matter of fact, the only thing that actually holds the Congressional Black Caucus together is the fact that they're all Black. There are significant differences within their congressional district makeup, personal backgrounds, and their policy positions. As a matter of fact, these have been exacerbated in the past three elections, including midterms. You see, Black House of Representative candidates rode the wave of Obama at the legitimacy questioned by Donald Trump, just in limbo on what they're supposed to advocate for. This leads me to my research question. How do Black House of Representatives candidates' personal backgrounds and the demographics of the congressional district influence the frames that they'll use when advocating for social issues from 2018 to 2022? Framing is a process that candidates use to construct social issues for their voters. And the social issues that I'm looking at are the economy, crime, and immigration. The Black candidates are key in the debate about policies because they live in highly polarizing campaigns, just by their very presence of being on the ballot because they put in the previous way of civic life, but also seen as the saviors of their communities by voters. Using quantitative content analysis, I argue that Black candidates' demographics of both the congressional district and personal backgrounds will reflect the frames that they use when advocating for policies. For example, Byron Donalds, pictured in the center, thinks that building the wall will actually solve the United States immigration problem, while Ion Presley, to his right, or my right, your left, says that there should be a pathway to citizenship for all dreamers. And Tory Bush in the lower corner says that a pathway to citizenship should be afforded to anybody who is fleeing political violence. Now, Byron Donalds may seem like the odd one out here. However, he represents the congressional district in Florida, while the other two are in Missouri and Massachusetts, respectively. Location is key here. Byron's position on immigration isn't touted by the fact that he's Black, but rather by the place that he represents. This is another example where education, like people having PhDs, determines how Black candidates are going to evaluate the economy. Black candidates, with the more education that they have, say that there should be more government intervention inside of the economy, not less. This is important because when we only contribute um, candidates' positions to their race or their gender, then we end up being disappointed in the candidates that we vote for. So the next time you see a Black candidate on the ballot, maybe look at other factors or their website.
Thank you, Dante. We're down to our final presenter, Juliana Jovilar.
Are you my mother? One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. These are all children's books that are not only entertaining but educational. Now, as someone who loves children's books for their unique form of storytelling and is an environmental communications scholar, I was wondering what happens when you combine these two topics. Are environmental children's books entertaining and educational? My research shows that yes, they are. However, they also have an additional layer of influence. This is because environmental children's books are not telling us to plant trees or take care of nature alone. They're specifically talking about climate change issues and ecological values. For example, the book The Mess That We Made talks about ocean pollution and how humans contribute to it. Yet at the same time, it encourages readers to stand up and make change. My Friend Earth presents Earth and nature not as a passive part of our environment, but as a character itself through the representation of a little girl whom young readers, can directly relate to. And books like We Are Water Protectors not only introduces young readers to the concept of indigenous water rights, but it implores them to consider that other forms of life, like water, deserve protection. Now, these are the books that are popular today and that you can go buy in stores. They're all also based in ecocentric values. This means that rather than being focused on human lives or animal and human lives, such in the case of anthro and biocentrism, we are looking at the entire ecosystem and how all forms of life can impact each other for better or for worse. Now, why is this important? Why consider children's books? Well, frankly, the world is on fire. Climate change is at its high, and while as adults we can address this through policy, technology, and different forms of livelihood, if we do not emphasize this mindset to young people right now, then we're neglecting the future. Because of this, because environmental children's books are not only educational, but they show diverse representations, they create relationships between readers and nature, and because they create spaces where children can see themselves as change makers, such as the case for The Mess That We Made, I believe that environmental children's books can be vehicles for environmental activism and foster ecological awareness. After all, if we want a more functional future, if we want children to take up our current torch against climate change, then we need to plant seeds of change right now. And I believe environmental children's books are one way of doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. We will now give the judges a minute to score. Thank you all so much for joining us for our preliminary rounds. And thank you to the Graduate College team who has made this 3MT event possible. Now just stay tuned. We'll announce the winners live in just a few minutes. Judges, please be sure to press submit at the bottom of your scoring rubrics so that we can tally your scores. Thank you. Okay. While only the top 3 winners of this round will progress to the semifinals, you all will be winners of a Rebel Grad Slam t-shirt. You can get yours during the Rebel Grad Slam finals reception. For the preliminary rounds, first place winner receives $300, second place winner receives $200, and third place winner receives $100. Are you ready? We have the winners for this preliminary session. In first place, we have Linnea Bacon. In second place, we have Ariana Almaraz. And in third place, we have Susan Dakwa. Yay! Thank you again for your participation, and please join us for the semifinal rounds on Thursday, November 7th at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1:30 p.m. in the Greenspun Auditorium, and the finals on Friday, November 8th at 4 p.m. in the Greenspun Auditorium. Lastly, we will have your Rebel Grad Slam t-shirts available at the finals reception at 5 p.m. in the Greenspun lobby. We welcome you to RSVP for the finals event with the link that we've just put in the chat. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.